Hello guys, so in this week's video we are going to be going down memory lane and we are going to be diving in to my sketchbooks of university. There's two just here and then there's an A3 sketchbook and then in here we have like other stuff to look at as well. So there's a lot to unpack here. This is only first year. I thought I would split them into different years because otherwise this video would be forever and a day long. The main reason why I want to start with a big one is because I'll get it out the way with, and also I feel like this was one of the first few classes that I did. This particular module, Drawing for Animators and Illustrators, was a life drawing class, drawing from reference, that kind of thing, and it was an essential first year module across both semesters. So the early sketchbooks for this class were C. White of Brighton. This sheet of paper just has information about the class and notes I took in my first session, not really any sketches on it, so I've just already turned it over. And in this class I would staple the handout I would get in each class just so I could separate it out a bit better. This was week one's homework. We had homework every single week and we had to do a self-portrait, and oh, this did not age well. I can tell you that now. It looks terrible. And I used to date my work. Oh my god, this was done the 8th of October 2015. Ooh. So week 2 was about Walk the Line. So it was about line drawing. None of these are gonna be particularly great. Basically, it was just taking a single line and not taking your pencil or pen or whatever medium that you're using off the paper for anything. Now obviously here I was using pencil and I was being very, very scratchy with it, but over here I just decided, you know what, let's do squiggly lines over here. This is more or less the kind of layout of the room sort of thing, and we weren't given very long for this. We basically had to speed through a lot, and a lot of the exercises were like that. So here we go. Here is pen. I'm not very comfortable with drawing in pen and I like going over my lines multiple times. I'm a very messy sketcher and you can see that just in these drawings alone. They're not all going to be perfect because a lot of the university modules, one, you don't really have time to mess around, and two, they like to see all of your development work, no matter how bad it is. If you ditch any development work, they'll be like, where's your development work? Where's the mess to get to the neat final product? Where is it? We want to see that. That's the main point. So this was a lot of pen studies and sketches. Oh, I like this though. This is nice. I think we had to bring in some fruit and stuff to do reference drawing that day. This was the last class on a Friday afternoon, and a lot of the fruit was not very good quality because we were university students on a budget. There's another life drawing. A lot of these were very, very quick studies. I think this one and the last one were about 15-20 minute kind of studies, I believe. So then we get into a homework study. Basically, we had to create a scene that explains us as a person and we had to draw it. So we have my camera, we have some markers, Copics, my headphones, which I still have and I still use to this day, a sketchbook on a fold-up table, which for me was pretty accurate. We're still in the October. I would have been doing Inktober 2015 around this time as well. It's kind of crazy to think about. Then we had to do it in different mediums as well. This one is obviously pencil, coloured pencil. Now we get into some of the terrible classes that I absolutely hated for this. So yes, this looks terrible. This particular class assignment was called Drawing Restraint, the Extended Arm. We had to draw with different parts of our body or like different ways where we weren't used to. It's kind of like when you swap the hand that you're drawing with, like your less dominant hand. It's almost like that. Now I was holding the pencil in my mouth while drawing this. We had to draw some of the outside planters. We were outside for this class. October, Friday evenings, not very great of a class. I can tell you that now. So this drawing, it looks a bit better, obviously, but this one was actually done with the pencil being held with the last 2 fingers of my hand instead of the first 2 fingers. So obviously there was a little bit of weirdness feeling in the hand. Okay. My normal drawing hand in 10 minutes. So we had to do as much as we could in 10 minutes. And obviously that's one of my classmates, just getting a closer reference point. We could pick sitting with a drawing board on the floor, or we could pick an easel, and I had an easel. This person obviously decided to sit on the floor. So this was one of the classes I didn't really understand, and I think this was a homework assignment because it looks like some stuff that I would usually have at home. And this was about negative space. So here is some more studies. We had to do a lot for homework for this class. This class's theme was called eye touch. It was drawing with the sense of touch instead of your eyesight. So you had to close your eyes and you had to just draw on the page, and you kind of get to find out more of what you prioritize. So this is what it felt like without any kind of sight. However, this is what it was from memory. Now, it was actually a little bird toy. It was a little bird toy. This was from memory, and it was a little toy parrot. This is a mix of visual and touch. So obviously you can see that there's way more texture. That is because visually I could see more than I could feel. So then we go on to a new object. I had no idea what this was. I think it might have been my kneadable eraser. I don't know. I think this page is upside down. Because I'm left-handed, I would sometimes turn my sketchbook upside down to make sure my hand wasn't hitting the ring bind. I've just zoomed it out a little bit further just so I can actually get more of the sketchbook in shot. So this is in a different material. This was turning the object on its side. No, I think this one was my kneadable eraser. Either that or this was a shell. I can't remember. Oh, the reason why I thought this was my kneadable eraser is because I actually used my kneadable eraser to get some of the lighter areas in this. Week 4's homework was about studies of some sort. I think this was supposed to be my right eye. I believe closed right eye, yeah. So just a little disclaimer, you might be triggered by the drawing of the inside of the mouth because I decided to do that. What possessed me to do that? I don't know. I will put a little timestamp to skip this page. If you want to, I will give you fair warning. It is not pretty. I don't like it. Okay, you've had your warning. Don't say I did not warn you. Yeah, that's a no from me. Thank you. And then obviously this is lips. Obviously these were done really, really quickly. Really sloppily as well. I think it was also about creating texture in your work as well, and obviously this is my ear. My ear looks absolutely huge with this, and also very slanted. I am actually really proud of this homework for week 5, and this was hand studies, so I used watercolour and Copic marker over here. More hand studies, pencil, and then watercolour and Copic marker. You could tell that that was my preferred sort of style, and also it was neater as well. That pen though, oh wow, where is it going? And then we had to do studies. This was a study of Worcester Cathedral, I believe. For those who don't know, went to the University of Worcester, and obviously there are gonna be pictures of Worcester around. Somewhere on the high street, cannot remember for the life of me where that is, but you know. So we have some on toned paper. This is the city campus of the University of Worcester. A little watercolour study on the bridge in Worcester. I think this must have been Town Hall, City Hall. I can't remember the name. This was done in 10 minutes and this was done in 5 minutes. It was like speed. Speed was the name of the game with these, I think. We had to do timed illustrations. Like this class was definitely heavily timed illustrations. That's why they don't look very good. This is Castle Street, this is the Magistrates Court, and then we have 2 marker drawings of Foregate Street and the city campus. This was 10 minutes, this was 5 minutes. Is there any more in here? Oh no. Okay, so this next one, it's gonna be a bit trippy. I don't like this one. So this is week 11. This exercise, I think was where you had to draw it upside down. Not yourself upside down. Basically, the image that I was referencing was turned upside down and you had to draw it as you saw it. This particular class gave me a migraine. It was awful and I hated it. And we had to do more than one piece. This was the second one. Oh no. They look even worse when you turn them round. This one the other way round will haunt my nightmares. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Obviously there's a hand. Other than that, I have no idea. But this was pencil, crayon and biro. That hand, oh, the proportions on that hand are not great. So this is the way I had to draw it. Oh, so bad. Then we had life drawing. Obviously, if some of the work gets too explicit, I won't show it. Oh, I need to zoom out again, don't I? Oopsie daisy. I don't know why it says guy on a train eating. To me, I remember this one clearly. I sketched this one very quickly and it was my mother ordering food at a cafe. Oh, so this was only semester 1. So this was the very first sketchbook. I did have another one of these sketchbooks, but I can't remember where it's gone. It might be in the pile, it might not be. I did lose some of the work. For the drawing, animators and illustrators class, we had to do collages of pieces, and I honestly do not know where some of the pieces went, but this was my collage. And this was another one that I did. This video is going to have chaotic energy because I found this last minute and I was like, oh God, this is actually more work, but from the very first project I showed. So this video is going to be all over the place. So I'm so sorry for the chaotic energy we have here. But then again, university was chaotic. So these are from the collage project. A lot of the stuff was in sketchbooks and then ripped out of sketchbooks. That was supposed to be my face. We had to draw different perspectives. I think this was just a filler picture. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I think that's maybe a shoulder to fit on the side. I think some of these were definitely filler and this was with charcoal. This was the center image. This was my torso for that. While showing the full picture, I did not know whether all of the drawings were mine, and they are. It's just they were of different people. This was one of my classmates at the time. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I know that's a pair of legs. That was my pair of legs. To be honest, look, most of the stuff from the module out of context, I don't understand it, okay? That was a shoulder, another shoulder, an arm, somebody's head. I think this was supposed to be oil pastel and it's head of hair, I think. This is actually really cool. I'm surprised by this one. I should have used this in my first year digital processes project. However though, this was done for a different module. So this was actually done during a trip to the museum and gallery on Foregate Street. I really like the 3D perspective of that. Oh, that turned out pretty well. I'm surprised. This was at the Cathedral. It was either a portrait I was referencing or it's a statue. I can't remember which one it was. This was a trip to the Hive. The Hive is a library. This is the machine you use to borrow books and stuff. Visit to the Hive. So that was just obviously referencing a book. I think this is the Hive. I don't know what way it's supposed to be though. I'm confused. This is the view from the Hive, from the children's library. It's of the bridge. This was earlier on in the classes. This work is just all jumbled up because we went to the Hive in week 6 and then this is a week 3 doodle. This is a continuous line pause and draw in 10 minutes. This was from week 5, which was the Cathedral visit. This was from the Cathedral. Now Worcester Cathedral is actually famous because it has the grave of Henry VIII's older brother. So of course I had to draw a Tudor rose and it's on top of the portcullis. Some more studies from the Cathedral. Another Cathedral study. I'm not sure exactly where that is or what that's supposed to be. Then we had to do studies of trailers, I think. I'm not entirely sure what this was supposed to be, but personally, I actually don't know any of these films. I think they're films or TV shows. I don't even know. There's another one. The last thing in this pile is actually something I love, and this last thing is actually a poster kind of thing. And this was based on The Martian. I picked The Martian to do like this composition kind of poster, and I really like it. I ruined the paper by doing this. For those of you who have ever seen The Martian, to be honest, I'm actually thinking of rewatching The Martian. I actually first watched The Martian just before doing this, and that's why I picked The Martian. I'm actually really happy with it. I think out of all of the work that I've done in year one, this was probably one of my favourite pieces. It was from one of the least liked modules. So I just looked through that yellow folder that was peeking here, and only some of the work was from first year, so I don't know where the rest of it is. A lot of the first year work got mislaid, and in first year I did a lot of development work. Some of you guys actually might recognise some of this work as well. So I believe this module was called Image and Text. Now this was my very first piece with gouache. I had no idea how to use gouache. This is only a print of it because it had to be a certain size, so I had to make it a certain size. And it says, "Colour is the place where our brain and the universe meet." I think that was the quote I was given. I think I did this as a video or a live stream. I actually have a playlist of me doing some old university work, so if you want to go check out that playlist, I will put it in the iCard. So this is the rough draft. This was me trying to figure out the kind of layering and positioning. This is another draft that I did. So with university, as I said before, they like seeing your experimentation. They like seeing your process, no matter how much you dislike it, because I've been there, done that for the t-shirt. I hated a lot of my work, but I had to keep it in. I had to show it because that was what I had to do. I had no choice. Skylar and Melissa. These were all my characters as well. Like in first year, I definitely included a lot of my characters in my work. I think I did it more so in my first year than any other year of uni, actually. And this was before the character universe as well. This was just the 7 characters that I have. I couldn't imagine having 7 characters now, like just 7 characters. Now, I spent quite a while trying to remember what this actually says, and it's supposed to say Melissa down memory lane. And this is what the final thing looked like. It looks terrible. Like, the quality of this is not great. You can tell I botched it up so badly. How this managed to pass, I don't know. So you've got summer, autumn with Loki, winter with Melissa and Jalal. I remember doing this on live stream. That's the craziest part of this. Then you've got spring with Bethany. You cannot see it, but just off of camera, I am holding up the other side of this. So you've got summer with the twins. And then finally, you have winter again, but with Skylar. I think it was more about incorporating image and text together, and I failed terribly. How I thought this was good, I don't understand it, but okay, whatever. And this is also so bad where I actually just decided to paint the back in black acrylic paint. Not even smoothly either. Oh, first year uni work is complete cringe. Oh. So image and text was actually split into 2 separate parts, and this was for part 2. Now this is actually the sketchbook for some of the development work behind part 2, which was for the final project where Melissa runs through all the different seasons. Now I think this was actually part 1 to it. A lot of the work got mixed up throughout, so I'm just going to show you in the order that I have it, or at least to the best of my ability organising it throughout this video. To say this video is going to be a lot of editing is going to be an understatement. So in terms of image and text, I definitely think that some bits got mixed up a lot, and I think my very first project was actually very much more ancient Egypt kind of style. Now, one of the classes for this project, we had to do a mask. This is a picture of me just wearing what was my mask that I had to make out of paper. It's crazy to look at this picture for me because this was when I was 6 stone heavier back in uni. So I think this was the final piece of image and text part 1. The development work for this, I have no idea where it went, but it was an ancient Egypt inspired scroll kind of thing, and this is why in the second part of this module, this is why I decided to go with the same sort of concept when part 2 came around. I didn't do a particularly good job with this. I've got to admit. The drawings are not too bad. They could be better, but the painting just makes this atrocious. Can you focus for 1 second, camera? It's so terrible. Not even the camera wants to focus on it. And I don't say I blame it either. I think it was a study of the social class of Egypt, I think, at the time. So like in ancient Egypt. I don't understand. I would need the development work to understand it more, but I don't have it because I can't remember where it went. There's also a mask on here and a skull on the other side because it's kind of like life and death. I like the covers on this. This is a bit wonky, I've got to admit, but this side, I actually kind of like it. So this was a rough draft, so you can see it without the paint. And then this was some stencils I used throughout the whole final piece. This was the design that I did, playing around with negative space. So this is the sketchbook for part 2 of this module. Some stuff I just cannot remember for the life of me with this. So part 2 about image and text was image and meaning, and these were some of the stuff that I did for it. Now I did a final illustration for this and I have no idea where it went. We had to illustrate a phrase, I think, and I think my phrase was snow in my shoe, abandoned sparrow's nest. So this was the illustration that I went with. We have a lot of note taking, a lot of doodles, of like inspirational kind of stuff. I actually have some final illustrations for this one. I'll show off the final illustrations for this after it. There was a lot of testing of paper and watercolor stuff right here. We learnt about different paper types as well. So this was, I think, handmade 100% cotton watercolor paper, I think. It's very, very soft. I think this is etching paper. Watercolor paper, and then this is cartridge paper. These were the thumbnails for the gouache piece that I did. More thumbnails as well. Me doing swatches of my Reeves gouache at the time. Oh my god. There's a lot here. This was illustrating a word. Oh, I actually have this on my wall. This was actually one of the first pieces that I put on my wall. I still have it on my wall. This was where we had to illustrate a comic out of a picture that was given to us. There's a lot of note taking and a lot of testing process. My character Loki, oh my god. So this part of image and text definitely was trying to figure out where I wanted to go with this character stuff, and obviously I went with Melissa, going through the different seasons. So all these little thumbnails as well. Oh my god. I think originally I called it Melissa's Day Out, and this was the very first rough that I did, I believe. And it goes through summer, autumn. This was the way it originally looked. I should have done this one! Oh my god. I think this one didn't work because it didn't flow with the rest of them. It just stopped. It was more static than the rest. But I really, really like this one. It's of Skylar and Melissa doing snow angels. Oh, that's cute. Oh. And my teacher recommended I do this. So just doing really, really rough ideas of how I wanted it to go. So how I wanted the final piece to look. This was actually just a really rough guide in terms of the colour. This was a really, really big help when trying to do it bigger. And this was the design for the cover. I don't know where I was going with that. I think it was just the first page, but her in silhouette, because I ran out of ideas at this point. So I have some finals. This was one of the assignments for university, and this was actually on my channel as a video. I think I might have live streamed it as well. Oh my god, I remember I destroyed the paper on this one. Just look at the back. Oh, the poor cartridge paper. Oh my gosh. Snow in my shoe, abandoned sparrow's nest piece. So this was the whole pixel idea. So you can actually see that there is multiple pieces that go along with this. So this was the final collage piece. We had to do a portrait of ourselves, and then we kind of had to mix it up with the things that we had brought. So like inspired by all the different little bits and bobs that we brought in, as well as magazine clippings as well. So I went for a very technological kind of theme, so like cyberpunk. It was also kind of about making a character, and I called this character Pixel. And this was done in my worst medium ever, charcoal. I hate charcoal. I think this is the last for first year. Obviously, if there's any more, I will put it in. But these are the sketchbooks for digital processes. Now, they're not all completely full. I know that this one is full, but this one isn't. So let's get on with this. So with this class, this was mainly based on Photoshop. This class was more so about creating assets to use digitally. So this is some of the work that I did, and I'll save this till afterwards because I think this was some of the final works that I had to do for each week. So I'm going to show you the development and then this to go along with it. So week 1, I believe, was about photo collage and stuff like that. Now obviously we were given select images to do, and this is what we came up with. Now this class for me was very easy. This was, I think, my very first. You can see the kind of layout here that I went with. Then we had a theme of opposites, and I had to do an opposites kind of piece based on all of these. This was the development work for it. We had to do some sketches and some little assets that we could use, scan it in, and then create something digitally with it, and this was the digital result. You can see that I used the ice cube multiple times and I layered it over. So this next one was all about brushes, creating brushes to use in Photoshop. Now obviously there's multiple different textures as well, and this is what I came up with. I used a toothbrush to make textures and stuff. I would swirl my brush pen around as well. I had a Pentel Pocket brush pen in this sort of time frame as well. So swirly brushes, messy splat brushes, jagged edges. Basically, it was all experimentation, which is exactly what the teachers want to see. Shapes and splats and eyes and legs. I don't know why. I think I was running out of ideas. Feet and arms, so like body parts. It was also about creating stamps as well, so brushes as stamps. I used several of the brushes created in these classes to create animals. I think this was supposed to be a butterfly. Then we have a deer. I loved my musical note brush for some reason. And then a snake. I think the snake probably turned out the best out of all 3 of them. We have some pictures of food that I did in watercolor, some transport. I think this was trying to make an animation of some sort. We had to sketch ideas and stuff for an animation. For the finals of this class, I was actually off and I had to do it at home, and I used some drawings that I'd already done and I actually used them as backgrounds. I've got to admit, this one looks a bit terrifying if it weren't not for the butterflies. We have some wildlife. So with the butterfly, you can see it here. These are pretty decent actually. I don't mind these 2. We have jumping. I think this part was making the animation. We had to draw motion and then create a GIF with it. Flying, obviously there's some birds, there's angels, there's a superhero, a little bee. There's dancing. I think I finally decided to do dancing in the class, but basically it was just a spinning ballerina. And I did 2 GIFs. I did one of the bumblebee and then I did one of the ballerina spinning around. Why I didn't fill the last 2 pages of my sketchbook, I don't know. Maybe they were stuck together at the time. Now, one of my last few classes, this is terrifying by the way, I had to use Illustrator, and for those who know my YouTube channel, you'll know I hate Illustrator. Absolutely hate it as a program. This picture right here is absolutely terrifying. I am so sorry. So with the next part of this class, we had to do portraits and stuff. You can see that this one appeared in the last Illustrator piece. So you can see that I did some portraits and stuff. I think some of them, they're not particularly great, but a lot of these I did pretty quickly because I just couldn't be bothered with some of them. That one is absolutely terrifying. I think I was doing that particular homework assignment when I was watching YouTube, because this is Jacksepticeye. Oh my god, that is a very, very terrifying picture of the Queen. So basically we had to do a collage around a particular word. Now my word was Queen. This is what I came up with in the end. Then there's some illuminated letters as well. You can tell that I went a little bit off the deep end with some of my calligraphy. So the end of this sketchbook actually deals with the final pieces that I had to do. So the final assignment of this particular module. And we had to do 3 illustrations based on a particular book. And this book was The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. Now some of you might actually recognise this from my YouTube channel. I think this was one of my final illustrations that I did. Weirdly, I actually have it to hand, so this was the picture that was created out of this. So I did a candle and several, it was kind of plotting down ideas of what I wanted to do. Now obviously there's a picture of a lily, there was a little doodle of a train with some wobbly tracks. I think one was supposed to be a book cover, and then the other 2 were matching illustrations that went alongside it. These are supposed to be hands in perspective. I actually took a photo just to try and get the pose right. These little thumbnails that I did. Then these are the bigger thumbnails, and this was trying to plan out what I wanted, so these were book illustrations. Now with a lot of my work in university, 4 separate pieces to do, 3 illustrations and a book cover design, and the book cover design came pretty easily, and so did 2 out of 3 of the illustrations. The last one was an absolute nightmare to draft, and this theme continued throughout my entire university experience. This is a really good drawing of a train. I'm actually shocked at myself that I did not use that one. Why didn't I use this one for the final piece? I'm mad at myself. And then we have some thumbnails. We also had to do a GIF image as well, so like a moving image, and for the cover. So I did like a flickering flame sort of thing. You can tell how lazy I was with a lot of stuff, because honestly I could not be bothered to draw some of the repeating letters more than once, because I was going to digitally edit it in anyway. So I just thought, you know what, let's actually just use the H, use the B, E, O, and then the rest of the letters for Angela Carter's name. Oh, so this is an extra drawing of an arm for the front cover. I don't think there's any more in this sketchbook, I don't think. But the final pieces for this, I'm not a huge fan of. This was the book cover. I can see why my teacher did not think it was great, because traditionally it does not translate well, I don't think. Looking back on this, it's cringe. It's big cringe for me. So I actually did find the first illustration in the set of 3 for the Bloody Chamber. You can see that there's a darker background with the blood splatters. This was the second illustration. So this one came pretty easy, along with the first one, which was the last illustration. You can see why I wanted to use that other sketch of the train, because this was the line drawing that I did previously in there. And I wish I would have used that pencil sketch of that little train rather than this one, because it's not as good. I don't understand the general concept of this. So that was my digital processes work. Last but not least, we have this folder right here. I thought I was done. I wasn't, because this is probably one of the most iconic bits of things that I did in year 1 of uni. There's a particular piece in here where I did a video on. I think I live streamed a lot of this. Just, oh my god, it's a lot. So this is a comic called Haunted Memory. Let's zoom out a bit. These are the original pieces. I've kept them in a special folder. So this was a comic based on fear for my character Jalal. And we have some very questionably drawn comic panels, but I think for the time it was actually pretty decent. It was mostly black and white except for spot colour of so red, orange, yellow kind of fire colours. I wish I would have used better quality watercolours, because you can see just how chalky and how muddy the colours got very quickly. This is quite terrifying, I've got to admit. Oh, the character design was also really bad. I look back on this character design and think, what were you thinking, Zoe? I think all of the characters that I made for this channel originally just need a look at in terms of design, whether I need to update them or not. I'm not sure whether Jalal needs an update or not. I could have updated it since then. I can't remember, to be honest. My brain has turned into literal mush since this quarantine started. So this page in particular has one of the best panels and one of the worst panels in the entire comic on the same page. So this one being the best panel and this one being the worst. Look at his face, it looks like he's been whacked with a frying pan. Oh my god, it looks so terrible. Oh, but this, I really love the line weight and the quality of the lines on this one, as well as just the expression. I think the only thing that's a little bit off is the fact that one eye is slightly bigger than the other, but I think it kind of adds to it. I'm not sure what I was doing with the shading, but I like this panel. I don't really like this panel either because, oof, that hand. What did that hand do? But this one isn't too bad either. This one's not bad, this one's pretty good, and these two can burn in hell. Now I think out of all of the pictures in this comic series, this one is probably the one that most people will remember. If you were subscribed to me around 2015, 2016 sort of time, you'll know this piece. I spent a good 5 hours doing this one for the cover, and my teacher turned around to me and was like, yeah, you do know this gives it away a bit too much, so you're gonna have to do another cover. That is when my soul broke into a million pieces. But I do enjoy the way this looks, and also I got a good YouTube video out of it. Even though it wasn't really supposed to be a final piece as such, it definitely added to the development work, which I needed a lot more of, to be honest. So it was not a complete loss. I just put it at the back just so it can relate to the comic. That is the end of my University Year 1 work. I have so much more work to show you guys, but I thought I would split them into the university years. There were definitely a lot more pieces of work that I didn't get to show you, but I cannot find them for the life of me. If I do come across them, there probably will be a part 2 to this Year 1 of University saga, but I don't think I can find them. I have looked everywhere for them and I can't find them. As far as I know, the next part of this series of sketchbook tours is going to be Year 2 of my university work. I also have a selection of my old college work as well. College was before university, so even more cringier, but I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can like and subscribe if you want to, completely optional, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!